Hello, and thank you for joining us for the first of these Pando Days spring term project premieres. My name is Eugene Shirley, president of Pando Populous, pinch hitting tonight for Matthew Manos, who's the regular host of these premiere events. Pando Days is the program that makes it easy for young people to do something for the world and for their communities. Today, we'll get to see for the first time what another of the Cal State Northridge team project teams has been up to. And in doing that, we'll follow the standard format that we use with all the teams. Each is given 15 to 20 minutes to present summaries of their projects, followed by roughly 30 minutes Q&A from a panel of experts. These events are recorded. Then over the summer, the recordings go up. Judges look at the recordings and all of the materials on the pandopopulous.com webpage for one page for each of the project teams. They're judged by a distinguished panel of specialists. And then in the fall, honors and prizes are passed out along with networking opportunities galore at the Pando Sustainability Awards. We look forward to seeing everyone there. So let's get started. As I said, we're back now with the Cal State University Northridge team once again. Professor Cassie Rouser, you had a wonderful project in the previous round. We're delighted to see what you're going to be presenting in this round right now. The title is Second Bite Los Angeles. Great title. The project also focuses on food security, but from a different and fascinating angle. They are looking to repurpose food waste from large-scale events. Think of something like the upcoming Olympics and turning food waste that is produced through those events, seeing that food waste redirected to those in need. There's often so much waste at events like this. I see it all the time. I'm sure you do too. So I love seeing what might be able to be done about it and take a systemic approach to using it for the common good. Cassie and team, take it away.
So good evening again. So this is Second Bite Los Angeles. You've met our team. So here is
Zoe, Jianyu,
Lou,
Adi Reza,
and Pam. Yes. So we are Second Bite again, and before we dive into the specific of Pando project, we want to clarify something critical to how we are framing this initiative. Our focus is solely on addressing the gap in food recovery during the 2028 Los Angeles Olympics. There are many challenges around food insecurity and food waste, but if we try to solve multiple problems at once, we risk diluting our impact. Instead, we are targeting one major event, the Olympics, where we can add measurable value by supporting and extending the efforts of food recovery organizations that are already doing the work year-round. So what is Second Bite? To support this goal, we created Second Bite, a local program designed to recover food waste from large-scale regional events. Second Bite acts as a lesson between first, food recovery organizations, second, food caterers, third, food distribution centers in food insecure communities across Los Angeles. We are not here to replace what's already working. We are here to help fill the logistical and organizational gaps that events like the Olympics create. So here we can see California discards over 6 million tons of food every year, resulting in more than 30 million metric tons of CO2 equivalent from methane emissions. Meanwhile, 1 in 5 Californians experience food insecurity. 1 in 3 college students are unsure where their next meal will come from. So the contradiction is clear. There is more than enough food, but not enough coordination to get it to those in need.
California is not ignoring this issue. California climate policy focuses on cutting greenhouse gases, reducing food waste, and investing in disadvantaged communities. By approving climate bills like AB 32, reducing GHG emissions to 1990 levels by 2016, and SB 32 aims to reduce 40% GHG by 2030. And AB 1279, California aims to achieve carbon neutrality and reduce greenhouse gas emissions by 85% by 2045. This goal targets cutting fossil fuel use, expanding clean energy, and improving climate resilience statewide. And also, several key policies have shaped the food recovery ecosystems, like SB 1383 mandate food recovery from large food generators by 40% reduction in organic waste disposal by 2025. And AB 1826 requires businesses and residents to recycle organic waste, and SB 535 allocates 25% of cap and trade funds to disadvantaged communities. These policies provide the backbone for food recovery, but implementation and real-world logistics remain challenges. This slide shows a decrease in total municipal food waste in LA County from 2018 to 2020. It highlights progress due to policies like SB 1383 and local programs such as mandatory organics recycling, food recovery initiatives, and increased community engagement that are changing behaviors and improving infrastructure. Despite improvement, it stresses that food waste volume are still high and large events create added challenges. The bar chart illustrates the food waste volume that was around 1.8 million tons in 2018 and around 1.5 million tons in 2019 and around 1.6 million tons in 2020.
Okay, so now we're going to talk about the current state of food insecurity in LA. So as of October 2024, approximately 25% of households in Los Angeles County, that's about 832,000 households, experienced food insecurity. This is higher than the national average of 14%, and it remains above pre-pandemic levels. Families with young children, in May 2024, 56% of families with young children reported experiencing food insecurity. And food insecurity rates are higher among Hispanic, Latino, and Black African American residents, each at 38%, compared to 16% among white residents. Women and young adults ages 18 to 40 are more likely to experience food insecurity, with 59% of food insecure households being female-headed. Some economic challenges are high living costs, inflation, and the reduction of federal and state food assistance benefits, and employment issues such as many residents face underemployment or unstable work conditions, as well as inflation and stagnating wages, limiting their ability to afford adequate food. So what is happening? There's two kinds of food generators. There's tier 1, which is mostly grocery stores and food wholesale food vendors, as well as food distributors. And then tier 2 is what we're going to be dealing with when we're dealing with facilities that such as restaurants and large venues for the Olympics. So food generators must establish, according to 1383, they have to establish a written contract with at least one food recovery organization to accept donations, such as Replate or Food Cycle. And these places also will offer both tier 1 and tier 2 food generators administrative services, such as providing receipts for tax benefits and doing all the administrative work and for compliance with 1383.
So what's FRO? FROs is food recovery organizations like a food bank. So they collect surplus food to reduce waste. Since SB 1383 took effect, they've received more donations, recovering more than 200,000 tons in California in 2023. And they also educate food donors, train those partner agencies, and handle reporting and compliance tasks.
So here are some barriers being faced though by organizations such as food recovery organizations such as Food Cycle. So there are insufficient infrastructure, such as 59% of food banks are saying that infrastructure is an extreme barrier. So what does that mean? Stuff like having refrigerated vans or refrigeration at venues to keep the food at the proper temperature. So, and then other barriers are food donor generator related challenges are unrealistic expectations from food recovery organizations, such as volunteers not being able to pick up food late at night. And then also there are multiple food recovery organizations who are responding to redistribution requests, but they may not be communicating or well coordinated logistically.
So what do we know? So this is the historical context that we can give you about the Olympics. And during Tokyo 2020, 1,200 tons of food ingredients were used, making 870,000 meals served to athletes and staff. Paris 2024 had 300 tons of food redistributed, with 600 meals being provided to the people in need. So what we can do is meet this goal and make it even better.
We have two main goals: reducing edible food waste from big events and lowering food insecurity in LA County. It aligns with our county's sustainability framework, specifically Goal 9 on sustainable production and consumption. It also supports Goal 10, which promotes a just food system with better access to affordable, local, and healthy food.
Okay, so our solution is going to be a community food hub. So what is a community pop-up food hub? Temporary food distribution sites in communities where neighbors can walk up and receive repurposed food from venues and catered events related to local large events, like the Olympics. We know food recovery is happening currently through food banks and FROs doing pop-ups like this, but Second Bite will be specifically targeting Tier 2, which is the catered events. So here is our map. So we want to connect the food generators at big event venues and related event catering with local communities in need, with an emphasis on serving food to food insecure students at local college campuses. The map on the left of the screen has neighborhoods facing food insecurity outlined in red, with food distribution locations iconed as the blue houses. This gives an idea of the neighborhoods in need of food and where they're missing access. The map on the right shows the Olympic venues with this information layered onto the map on the right. On the left, we will be able to determine neighborhoods that are close to venues that have the need, including college campuses where we'll be able to set up hubs. So our next steps. We know our goals are reducing food waste and increasing access. So what do we need to do to make that possible and effective? We need to leverage existing efforts. We're not going to duplicate efforts when it comes to the food hubs. We're not reinventing the wheel. We need to coordinate across networks. Outreach will be key here, making relationships with FROs that are already doing this with Tier 1 organizations, but we will be doing it with Tier 2. Engage with communities. Communicate with those in need to understand and meet their needs. Improve food transportation, making sure we have the logistics to have food reach its destination effectively and before spoilage.
To make this work, we'll be partnering with food recovery organizations like Food Cycle LA, which will play a key role in coordinating the movement of surplus food from generators to distribution points. Established food distributors, such as food pantries, can serve as locations for pop-up food hubs. These include faith-based organizations, community centers, libraries, schools, and college campuses, which are trusted spaces already embedded within the neighborhoods they serve. Support from Cal Recycle, local government agencies, transportation nonprofits, and food distribution apps like Carrot, Too Good To Go, and Flash Food will provide logistical and digital tools needed to make this possible. Together, this network will help us deliver nutritious food directly to food insecure individuals. Second Bite has the potential to significantly reduce hunger in crisis zones by providing access to pop-up food hubs, delivering immediate and flexible food distribution centers. It fosters community engagement by creating opportunities for communities and food recovery organizations to collaborate locally on driven solutions. Additionally, it addresses a critical infrastructure gap by offering support to food recovery organizations, enhancing their capacity to collect and distribute surplus food effectively. Why does Second Bite matter? Second Bite offers a way to align the needs of three key groups: people in need of food, organizations trying to recover it, and donors looking for help but are unsure how. By filling in the gaps, increasing communication, and enabling smarter partnerships, we can create a lasting model of Olympic-scale food recovery, one that not only serves LA during the games, but also leaves behind a legacy of community equity.
Thank you so much.
Okay, thank you. Extremely interesting. Appreciate this team. I was especially interested in knowing, what Paris had done when they hosted the Olympics, and that they managed to actually redistribute an awfully lot of food, more than I realized. And so that's really inspirational. It made me think, wow, you really are onto something that can be real. So let's hear from our panel. We have roughly 30 minutes for informal back and forth discussion about the project, how to assess it, and how it might become real. With us today, Margot Kadusham and Natalie Flores. Margot has had 40 years experience in the various aspects of the food business. Margot, you can tell us more about that, but it's been, including as a restaurateur, caterer, on television, having her own cooking show, uh, chairman of the board of Pasadena's Union Station, dealing with homeless services, and on and on. Natalie, she founded the nonprofit Nourish LA in response to the COVID pandemic. Now feeds over 1,000 people a week. Natalie, that's amazing. She also works in partnerships to transform yards, parkways, businesses, and community gardens into food forests and biodiversity havens. And with us as well is Lynn Goldfarb. You've known Lynn on various aspects of Pando's work. She's my colleague. And Lynn is a documentary filmmaker by profession of great note. And okay, sorry. I hit a wrong button. And we always lean on her heavily for storytelling matters and story structure and presentation issues. Margot and Natalie, why don't you all start off? And then Lynn, why don't you come in whenever you wish? Margot, this project is so close to, I'm sure that you feel just kind of every aspect of it. So let us know what you think.
Yeah, I think this project is amazing. I think its application is just going to be something that is going to be very, very usable. One of the questions I want to ask is, how close are you to making it become a reality? And I see you've talked about other large events. I did food styling for television shows for quite a while. And what we would do is the volume of food that we would use for a show would be incredible. So once the show was done, we would then source out a nonprofit to give the food to. So I'm assuming that you have various nonprofits also, as you're kind of getting organized with where you're going to do your pop-ups, where some of your food will go. And so number one, I think I'm going off on tangents. Let me kind of go by step by step. Number one, how far along are you? Is it specifically in mind for the Olympics, or are you going to start it before to test the waters? And then down the road, I want to tell you a little bit about Bracken's Kitchen, who is a nonprofit which rescues food and does a lot of what you're hoping to do. So let you answer my questions.
So, the answer to testing this, I think our best testing ground would be CSUN. We have a food pantry on campus that would be more than willing to absorb more food, really. We also have an app designed on campus called Matabytes. So we would be able to bring it to campus, and Matabytes would let students that need food know that it's at this location and they can come pick it up. So I think that will be our main testing site really for this, and other college campuses as well.
And also, we have both talked to the Metabytes, the organizer of the Metabytes, and I also talked to the manager of the food pantry, and they also give us a lot of different advice, which is really useful. And they are also willing to, like, if this project is going on, they are really willing to work with us. And yes, like Zoe say, we can do the test based on the season, and then we can expand it to the Olympic size. Thank you.
I think your idea, as I said, is just phenomenal. Another thought that I had in mind is maybe seeing how you could get some sponsorship for funding, so you in turn could take that and create some kind of a pop-up mobile type of site where once you get the word out, you could be in different locations and people could come to you in that regard too. But as I mentioned to you about Bracken's Kitchen, do look into it. It'll give you kind of an idea what goes on. They are in Orange County, and what they do is they rescue food and repurpose it. And along with that, they feed a large population in Santa Ana of this repurposed food. They oftentimes have them come to them, versus the way you're doing it, I think has a better structure at this stage of the game, because the people will come to you. You will do pop-ups in various locations, I'm assuming. Is that correct? Oh.
Yes.
100%.
Yes.
Okay. No, I think it's a great project. I'd like to follow along with you and see how you progress.
So one thing that we learned in talking to Food Cycle was that these conversations haven't really begun with regard to the Olympics. So when we told them the idea, she was like, wow, I mean, we haven't even begun to talk about this and how it will be coordinated. So I really hope this can serve as a model for the way that this can be approached. And you must be in those conversations, Natalie, I imagine.
Yeah, Food Cycle's one of our partners, Food Cycle, Food Forward. We all work together basically to create a huge net around the city to say, hey, who's available to catch that? Where can it go? And we all work together basically to create this. What we do is we build the hub site. We have technology on our site, and we have tons of volunteers. And I love this. This is really great. I would love to work with you guys. I think this is really what we need. And I really liked what Margot had to say about getting sponsors, because all that stuff is going to need to go where containers, like you get
transported.
Right. And you also get these huge sheets of lasagna. How are you going to give it to all these individuals? It's got to be in these little to-go containers, or maybe a company, a big company or corporation can sponsor y'all, so you can get your infrastructure together, your pop-ups, your everything that you're going to need to make your site safe, sanitary, simple, and efficient, right? So there's all these little things, but I would love to invite you guys to our site actually, because I think it might help you guys. We have like ice tables for all our perishables so that you guys can see. We get sandwiches and salads. Juice to Grocer is one of our donors, and everything's like prepackaged from a restaurant, but I would love to invite you guys to our site just so you guys can get down some more of your nitty gritty and your logistics and help you however I can, because this is really big deal. And there's a ton of food from these restaurants and from these event spaces that is going to waste that we haven't even hit the tip of the iceberg of. That I just love that you guys are thinking big. It's right up my alley and I love it. I think it's really important to set the precedent for the community and for the future. Like, we should never have been wasting this much food. There's enough for everybody. And not just food insecure people, but like there's enough for there's enough to create other enterprises, and that's where we can really get really creative and crafty. So it's like it has so many good things and there's so much potential in your project. I really love it. And yeah, I just implore you guys to keep moving forward because we need thinkers and innovators to create strategies for these problems. And I'm just really stoked for y'all. This is great.
Well, one of the things that we wanted to do was to get donated restaurant supply perhaps. And then so that when you're at these big venues, maybe we have a donated fridge that when they have the extra food, they can put it in our equipment, put it in that fridge, because part of the problem is that people it's hard to find volunteers to pick up food late at night. So if they can just automatically have that food in a fridge, then we can come pick it up in the morning for the pop-ups, so that kind of thing, like get donated vans, like from, I know Starbucks has a program where they donate, refrigerated vans, and just corporations that have the logistics infrastructure and restaurants that don't need, don't have used equipment that we could use or something like that.
Yes, all of it. You need all of it.
That
You
is
really
the whole
do.
issue.
You really
have to make
do.
sure you're food safe.
That's the thing. So
I'm
you
sure
do need
Natalie can testify to that.
100%. Like all our volunteers we've built videos. We found that building short videos is one of the easiest ways to train people. So creating little models so that people are food safe. The food's, not going to spoil, not
Temperature control.
contaminated.
Yeah.
Different things like that. If someone is going to pick it up, what does that look like? Do they have cooler bags in their car? All these different little logistics that mean big deal as far as safety and all, as you can imagine. That's why I would like to invite you guys to our site so that you could see it. We work really closely with Nancy and Food Cycle LA. They're one of our big partners. They donate a lot of food to our site. But we also have created our own technology and our own app because we like to recover artisan, really high-end food because there's a lot of it going to waste. So we partner with all these artisan bakers and restaurants to get all that. We recognize that there's a ton of waste in just these artisan spaces where other bigger organizations like Food Cycle might not want to catch the 25 pounds a day of bread. We don't mind.
So, sorry, let me just jump in a second because this is a fascinating conversation. And if the team and Cassie, Margot, Natalie, if you all can all fill us in on exactly kind of how this works and exactly what the process is and the challenges, because my mind is just reeling thinking of, what does Starbucks call you up at 10 o'clock at night and say, we have leftover scrambled eggs that no one's, but then you have a huge problem of what do you do with leftover scrambled eggs or something? So I'm just really, and then how long do those leftover eggs or do they last? And, et cetera. So, and of course it will endlessly open up in all kinds of questions, but can you all someone or you all chime in and kind of help us? Can you unpack some of that for me, just so I have a better understanding of the challenges here?
You guys go ahead.
Is this us or I don't know if he was asking us.
You did a lot of research, so
yeah.
Go ahead.
Well, in our conversation with Food Cycle, right, a lot of the stuff that my teammates mentioned, as far as right, they have the infrastructure to pick up the food, but there are a lot of gaps, right? And so the gaps that already exist, right? We understand that there are, right? Food Cycle is working towards that. Nourish is working towards that, Replate is working towards that. But right, all of these efforts are not being coordinated on a large scale, right? And we see the Olympics as an opportunity to basically kind of, like you guys said, test this out on a big scale so we can overall increase food redistribution efforts in LA.
Also, we are focusing on tier 2, which is the event space and catered events kind of work, where tier 1 is covered a lot in food recovery organizations. They go to restaurants, grocery stores. They're being covered because they have to sign with a food recovery organization. But Olympic events, we're unsure if they are really signing with somebody to get that food recovery and what level they're signing somebody to pick up food. So we want to collect as much as we can during those large events, especially because it's not just the Olympics that are coming. We have the Super Bowl, we have the World Cup, we have every year there's an award show, there's things being filmed, there's lots of things going on, and events have food for their workers, and we want to be able to collect it once they're done.
I would guess though you wanted to kind of have all the inner workings of your program pretty much locked in way before the Olympics and test it on, smaller venues, whether they be restaurants, and I'm sure Natalie can fill you in on where a lot of her food comes from, but whether it be from production or grocery stores or wherever, get that all locked in, and how you're then going to get it out to the end user way before the Olympics even come. So within the next year, I would guess.
So Zoe, do you want to speak to, I think it was your idea, I don't know whose idea was, of having sort of like the pop-up practice, right? So establishing, some partners and having it be regular enough so people would know where the pop-ups are, and then to build those relationships.
So we wanted to be able to test out a monthly pop-up, have people come once a month to a specified location. So it creates that communication of, oh, they're going to be at X location. We need to be there on the day that they're there to pick up food. So it makes
establishes a pattern.
Yes, yeah. It establishes a pattern that we can continue, and it also will create a larger net of who knows what we're doing, and they can share, and it's really a word of mouth. If you need food, and we're going to be working with food banks at that same level because they are already doing pop-ups like this. Yeah. They are saying, come get the food here. And we want to be able to exemplify that also specifically on college campuses, because 1 in 3 students are facing the food insecurity, and it is our testing ground. We will be able to say, at CSUN, come at the library, there's going to be this amount of food, come to this location on this day every month, and we'll have food to give out, kind of thing. Great. And that will be based around events going on in our area.
Yeah. You build it from there, and then you spread out and go into various communities.
Yeah,
I think you guys could do every community college and university and school.
Yeah.
Like every student could have really good meals to take home, like things that are easy. They could just pop in the microwave or the oven. It's already made. The lasagna from yesterday's Super Bowl is here in my fridge now. Boom, boom, boom. I got a healthy meal. Great. And it's made, and it's like, yeah, that's rad. I love it.
Yeah,
it's great.
I think it's really good, but I want to just tell you a little bit about one of our other projects from Pando that might be useful for you to talk to. And that's at Cal State Fullerton. They have a project, their students there created a project called Baguette, and it's to coordinate food banks and food pantries and to get the distribution of food, because what they found out was the logistics of dealing, the logistics of the communication, between, in this case, it was what food pantries need and what food banks had, and how to get to the specific need. And they've spent the last 2 years developing this software And it might be applicable to what you're doing. That you might be able to talk to them and maybe that it could be transitioned to be the coordination between, you know, events and distribution places.
That's a great
We-
idea.
Yeah, we could put you in touch with them.
Thank you.
Thank you,
One
yeah.
of the-
That's a
one
great
of the
idea
the
because
larger fellows.
because one of the things that Food Cycle mentioned that the problems are communication, coordinating with other, you know, food recovery organizations, as well as not having the containers for the tier 2 donations, not having enough trucks, not having the logistics, you know. So if we could partner with logistics companies or, you know, people that already have that down, and then, you know, partner with corporations that can provide us with refrigerated trucks, provide us with refrigerators and restaurant supply containers, like those, that might help. Like if we can somehow coordinate all that in logistically, that would be
Yeah,
great.
and what kind of food is best for what kind of distribution, you know,
Exactly.
so that it's appropriate, and we'll get, you know, and there won't be additional food waste.
And my question, I have one question that just popped up. In our site, the food that we get comes in a mixed box. You have to separate it all out. And sometimes there is a mealy apple or whatever, and we have to compost that. And we partner with local community gardens and compost sites. So I imagine in this case, there's going to be a lot of compost too. Where is that going to go?
Origin LA.
So, because today I just went to the food pantry pop-up in Season, and I do saw what you mentioned about the problem. So, the food pantry in Season work with the Season garden. So we will have a composting bin there, and you can see it. So they will put the composted food there, and it would put all the food to the garden after the pop-up. So this is a pattern that we can use, and we also have.
Carla, one of our sustainability master's students, he's got his own special formula for compost, and he's doing it at the elementary school in our community. And he's always like, I need more food, I need more waste. So we have a place we could send it all. you
Okay,
know?
because we're talking about meat, bones, grease, milk, you know, these are different things, and those things aren't backyard compostable. They attract varmints, and you can't kill pathogens at a high enough temperature with backyard compost. So that's where you need like larger municipality compost to get hot enough to kill any pathogens. So that's why I'm asking, like, do you have access to a green bin? Maybe it's like bugging the city and saying, hey, we need like large scale green bins at our site, at your pop-up, because that stuff is, we're talking about humongous amounts. Our site diverts 20,000 pounds of food a week. And we accumulate about 700 pounds of compost. It's heavy, it's wet, it's mushy, it's stinky, all the different things that you can think of, and it needs handling, and it's really important.
Let me hop in real quickly. So the CSUN composting program that you're talking about, Carlos Marin, that's his. That was a Pando Days project. He's back this year with Pando Days. And the wonderful thing, Natalie, is that it can handle. He's come up with a system in which he's able to handle all of that messy, bad stuff that you can't typically handle in the backyard compost. Exactly. And it's remarkable. Apparently.
Amazing.
And
Amazing.
so
I want to look him up. Sounds fabulous. I want to know
it's
who.
another season.
Someone put his name and information and website here, please. You can also partner with Compostable LA. She's really awesome. But she does events mostly. She was doing like neighbor to neighbor, but she started doing just events and catering composting for like the Grammys and things like that. So she would also be a really great person to go to, Compostable LA, and where they do, you know, composting for catering events. So maybe that's a good synergistic relationship.
We also can look into working with LA Sand and CalRecycle.
Yeah.
I know LA Sand comes to a lot of Los Angeles-based events if they request composting bins. So they will come and bring large bins to events and show people like, this is how you compost. This is all the things that can go into your compost.
Yeah.
Things that you're leaving out of your compost. What damages the compost. So things like that, if we need to get to the municipal level, we will.
Awesome. I'm just glad you're thinking like that. That's great.
One of the things I have a concern about, though, is the cost factor of when you get the rescued food and you repurpose for distribution, what are you going to use to then put it, make it available to the different people that are coming to pick up the product? And are you going to get partners or sponsors to help offset the cost of packaging?
That was my question, Margot. My first question was that.
So I think packaging for the food is going to be a complicated thing that we need to still really look into, because we want to make the best, most sustainable choice for the people and the community. If we're choosing packaging, we want it to be compostable, which is not a huge market at this point, but there is a market for it. So either that kind of packaging, compostable, or we would use, I don't know if this is the right organization, but they're like green bins, and it's like a lunchbox, a plastic lunchbox that people can come and bring and turn in, and they'll get a new one. So that.
Oh, I love that idea.
That's great.
I love that
Yeah.
idea. My friend Eco Joe, he does festivals, like big music festivals, and they're building in their project to you pay like $1, right? And then you get a reusable cup. And then at the end of the festival, you can either keep the cup or you can get your $1 back by turning in your container. But I love the idea of passing out, like, this is your designated container, and basically we're going to fill it up for you until it's full. And that's great. And then, but maybe there is like a deposit of some sort. That would be really wise, because packaging can get very, very expensive.
I think that would be the thing that we would need a deposit for, is the containers.
Yeah, because even if you're getting like $50 worth of food and you're only paying $2, that's still amazing,
Yeah, but even
How do you hurdle this?
Oh, I was going to say that a lot of these programs will be in disadvantaged communities, so we will want to be able to provide free packaging as well, right? And not have the burden of people having to pay to have access for the food.
How is it that you hurdle this, Natalie? How do you, in turn, I'm just going to ask you, forgive me for kind of getting off, but how do you deal with this in passing out your repurposed food to the population that you serve? What do you do?
We give out just straight groceries. So it's all a la carte. You have a volunteer face-to-face contact. Do we ask them, do you want, do you want a steak? Do you want milk? Do you want this? And we just reuse all our boxes. We also use paper bags from the community through the local Buy Nothing groups. And we do have like a tip jar and a Venmo. If people want to give or can give, they can. Nobody's forced to give what they can't give. And then all the neighbors that drive by and see our organization all donate too, because they see the benefit of not wasting this food and feeding thousands of people. So it's actually a win-win, and it's actually really easy to get people to donate once they see you in operation. They're like, what's going on here? So you're going to have two parts of this, is just like letting your community know, like, hey, you got to fund us, support us, those simple models, $5 a month, $10 a month, $25 a month to support people getting access to this food and not letting it go to waste is a great way. But what we do is we just repurpose all the boxes, because we're giving out groceries. Like, everybody in our line gets about 40 to 75 pounds worth of groceries.
So not necessarily cooked food.
No, we have cooked food, but it's all packaged. So we have salads and wraps and steak and milk and cheese and yogurts, things like that. But it's all in its own packaging.
Is part of your business model that the food generators pay you to pick up the food?
No,
Because they need
so
to comply with the,
no.
really?
No, so what's so cool is that we built an app and then we go like the board, we have a couple board members and we're hiring a recovery app manager. We go restaurant to restaurant, we onboard them onto our app. We say, "Hey, we have a pool of volunteers that have been vetted. We train them, give them a scale. They know they have an app, they get a message, and it's all hyper local. So if you're by Lodge Bread on Washington, and you see a message at 5 o'clock and they close at 7 saying, "Hey, we're gonna have bread." It gives you all those minute details like the manager, the time, what kind of how much weight approximately it's going to be, so that that person, the volunteer, knows what to expect. Because we have people that bike around the city that don't own a car that also pick up hundreds, if not thousands of pounds of food a week for us just on their bike. So we designed that into our app, and it's a clear line of communication. All the closers can text the line when they're closing. So it doesn't need to be like the manager or the owner. It can be anyone that's closing the business. If they notice that there's a bunch of food that's left over, they do a little ping. We all get it in it's like a text message. It says, "Oh, Lodge has bread, go get it." You pick it. And then the app notifies all the pool of volunteers so that we already know someone's going to grab it. We go and grab it. And then as soon as you grab it, you log the weight. And then it has a bar of all the different places it can go to. And it has all their details, the time that they're open, da 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 da. And the benefit of it is for the businesses, you're actually helping the business because the business either has to pay to haul that compost away, haul that heavy ass bread or that heavy food waste, right? Or they get fined. They're going to start getting fined by the city every time they have all this waste. So it's better for them. But not only that, the people on the receiving end that are getting that food are more likely to patron at their restaurants or their store, because if your values align, then you're more likely to spend your dollars there. So it's a win-win model for everybody. And it's great because then when we have galas or events, I bug those places. I say, "Hey, Lodge, we're doing you a service. I need $100 gift card for this, for that." And I don't feel bad because we're doing them a huge service, right? So it's a win-win all the way around.
Yeah, I mean, I think a food cycle does a similar thing where they
Yep.
they have an app and then they handle all the administrative processes so that businesses don't have to worry about it. They've got somebody in their corner. They can just give the food. They don't have to worry about liability. They've got they've got the tax receipts. They've got
Yes, exactly.
Yeah.
They use Carrot. We've designed our own because we found Carrot to be inefficient.
And
They
actually,
did
we would
say-
like to ask, what about Carrot did you find inefficient?
Well, like if I was a store owner, for example, I can't access those weights without going through the riffraff of having to email certain people. So I can't access those weights whenever I need them. Same for the grantees, same for other businesses, same for other people that are helping to redirect that food or volunteers. We can't access those numbers. There's only 2 people that can access those numbers. So it's really inefficient in that way. And things have to move really quickly sometimes. Like I need to be able to pull numbers at a minute's notice. I don't want to have to wait for somebody to get back to me 6 to 8 weeks later about a number that I needed for a huge grant, a while ago. So you need to be able to access that data and that information.
And so I guess I have a question. When thinking about Second Bite, is the Nourish app scalable for a project like this, or is it just your
that's
specific
what we're
project?
trying to do. So we're testing it for 6 months, and then we'd like to put it into process so that other people can use it. So we're using it super private right now. It's just we have our own set of volunteers that use it. They're all vetted. There's a code of conduct. It's very efficient. And we can access those numbers anytime we need. It's really great. We buy scales. Everybody gets a scale, and we have interaction with the guy who is constantly writing the app and the codes for it. So it's like, "Hey, can you tweak this?" Or we need a super view so that we can see who all the volunteers are. So we're testing this out for 6 months, and then we'd like to take it to another step and get it finalized so that we can share it with other communities, because we do recognize that there's a lot of food waste just hyper locally, right? With the Kara app, for example, I get messages from Altadena. I'm like, why am I getting a message from Altadena? Wouldn't it be nice if the app just pinged you when you were in the area of the food and it didn't just send you random messages throughout the day saying there's food in Timbuktu? It's like, I can't be in Timbuktu. I'm here in Mar Vista, you know? So it's better to run hyper locally because we can't, that's how it's going to be. That's how it has to be. We can't like go across town in a minute's notice. But if you have a pool of 1,500 volunteers and all these people are driving all over the city and they get a ping that they're near, you've been able to solve multiple problems, right? So I think hyper local and make things really efficient is like the way to go, but it's got to be local. It's got to be where the people in the community can easily access that food in those spaces, and your volunteers as well, like creating a pool of dedicated volunteers that
Volunteers, yeah.
understand the logistics of this stuff and are professional and vetted is also huge. You got to get trusted individuals that have respect and reverence for like food waste and food and understand that it's like a sacred commodity and it's got to be shared.
What a wonderful ending, I think, to a very exciting presentation today. It's fascinating to see the amount of opportunity here. I don't know much about this area, and it just seems like there's a ton that can be done. And it's a place where there's a lot of opportunity for the kind of ingenuity that the team has shown. I also am excited about the fact that CSUN seems to be, have the opportunity to be a lab for this kind of stuff. We've had 2 projects tonight dealing with food, and we have the one we talked about, the other one coming along. They're dealing with composting from CSUN. So those are 3 really interesting food-related projects that are practical, fascinating, and there's a real opportunity to see what could be done with them there. So thank you all so much. Thank you, Margot and Natalie and Lynn, for your comments and your questions and your great insights. Thank you to the CSUN team, and Cassie, of course, to you. Next up in the Pando Days premiere presentation schedule, Mount St. Mary's University in 1 week's time, May 15 from 10 to 11 in the morning, for anyone who'd like to join us. Their project is transforming a water guzzling landscape into a drought tolerant biodiversity supporting area that doubles as a lab for scientific assessment. Mount St. Mary's projects have been implemented year after year, and I'll be eager to see how this one's coming along and if it also will be taking root. Thank you all so much for sharing your evening with us. Have a good rest of the evening.